Awesome. Well, happy May the 4th be with you to everybody that's joining us today and those that are going to listen to this later. We absolutely love themes that can be a little bit more fun and energizing. Today we have a special guest. It is Susan Husa, but it's also Grogu.
Oh, hey.
He's here to say hello for you guys. Just a little bit
hilarious.
of fun.
Okay, Adam, is that yours or one of your kids?
It's my son's. My 10-year-old is obsessed with Star Wars and loves this little guy.
I love it. That's a nice little surprise there.
Yeah, I mean, in business, we've got to have fun, right? And that's what this meetup today is all about. And Susan, thank you for being our guest today. We want to have fun and be curious and be excited. And that's why we record these too, so that people can be a little bit more flexible in their approach to it too. The community is all about engagement, when and where we can make that possible, right? And so each week we try to have somebody share a story, or we do check-ins, and really we just have a conversation. It's interactive. And I want to appreciate everybody that joins us live and those that support us afterwards with their comments and contributions. Susan, each week before we get started, we like to have those that are here committed to you introduce themselves so you know who's here to support you. And then we'll kind of have you introduce yourself and get into the throes of it, if you don't mind.
Excellent. That sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for having the day with us. It's going to be exciting. So my name's Adam Briggs. I'm the moderator today. I have a small company called CLARAfi, and I just absolutely love these meetups and I love this community. So thank you to everybody that is here. And I'll turn it over to Rachel.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon. Super happy to be here today. Really nice to meet Susan in person. I'm Rachel McCool from GoDaddy. So I manage community experiences for the company and just love our LinkedIn group and all of the wonderful members that we have. And, thank you, Susan, for being here today.
Absolutely. You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
We appreciate you, of course. Elena, do you want to introduce yourself, and then Tina?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, Susan. I'm Elena. I work with Rachel and Tina over at GoDaddy. So I help out with our community experiences, our virtual meetups, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. And I'm excited to be here and to hear from you.
I'm Tina. I'm also on Rachel's team with Elena, and just, checking out the communities and the LinkedIn group. And so I'm excited to hear your story and what you have to share with us today.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. So thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you to everybody that's here today. Susan, why don't you give us a little bit of backstory? Talk to us about who you are, what makes you you, why you lead from the heart, and why you're excited about being on here today. And then we'll get into, mind tricks and what's going on with today's energy.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me here. It truly is a pleasure. And I like how you say mind tricks, because I don't use that word, but I understand what you mean by that. And I could get into your definition of what that is. But what comes to mind to me is just the way that, we choose what our mind is fixated on, right? We have choices within our circumstances. So anyways, who am I? I am a woman that is, excited about I'm an encourager, right? I love to, if I'm going to put my identity hat on of, what is my profession? I'm a professional coach. And I love working with especially women who call themselves leaders, who are looking at and questioning next steps and the things that are placed on their heart. So anyways, and then Adam, that was a lot that you said, hey, tell us about you and this and that. So what else can I bring forth here that would be interesting for you to hear?
I love it. We like to get to know the person we're talking to. You're a fantastic contributor. You're really coaching people to find meaning and lead with their own heart, which is a difficult thing to do. And the reason I say mind tricks is because really, as a coach, you are kind of like a Jedi, right? And we all have this force that drives us, and it either drives us back or drives us forward. And I'm being punny today because it's May the 4th, but really that's actually a huge thing for us as entrepreneurs, as leaders, as just committed members of the community. When we want to have engagement, a lot of times we want to find a unique voice. We want to find our identity, and we think that we need to align in specific lights for other people, or maybe we're changing our style and what's really what we think people want to hear. And I love what you do is it gets people back to what's on their heart, leading from their heart, bringing their dreams to life, right? I read an interesting fact. We're going to have Susan do a live demonstration, by the way. She's going to coach me a little bit for about 15 minutes. So this is going to be exciting. We've never done this before.
Yep.
But I read an interesting statistic earlier this week that kind of blew my mind. And it was about small business. And basically 20% of employees out there have no idea what the goal is for most of the companies they work for. 20% of employees out there don't feel like their employers trust them or respect them. And only 10% of employees out there actually realize what the goal is and understand it, and they're contributing towards it. And so you imagine it like, if you were a leader of an Imperial Army and you had 10 stormtroopers, 2 of them have no idea what team they're on. 2 of them fear that their leadership is actually going to turn on them or cut them loose. And everybody else is just in pure chaos. And only one person's contributing. And the interesting reason why that person understands and engages is because of the connection and the energy, the belief, right? Energy is connection. And as leaders, we have to be more energized. We have to be able to create that trust through our own belief and leading with the heart. So I love that that's what you're bringing to the table. And Susan, I want you to just kind of jump into it. Let's talk about, what it's like to be coached by Susan.
And so jump right into telling you what it's like to be coached by me.
Yeah, or just lead me. I mean, is coaching kind of like when somebody says you're manually breathing. See, I just messed with all your heads on this call. Everybody's manually breathing right now. Is coaching like that? Can we just turn on the light switch and say, I'm leading with my heart?
What I have to say about that is we are all developing, right? There's this we're, as humans, we go through our little, our childhood. And then as we become adults, that's really where I kick in. As a coach, I love helping people really come to know who they are, say who they are, and have their convictions shine forth in the things that they do. And to get to the heart of the matter, it's like, who am I being, right? And that's different for everyone. And also recognizing where everyone is at developmentally. So as I work with people as a coach, they just bring forth their authentic self and whatever is unique to them and on their hearts to be whatever it is that is of concern or a desire. Those things come forth in a coaching session. And then as a coach, I actually help people consider next steps. What would that look like for you, right? Like there's some courageous effort now that may be, put into action. Or like currently I have someone that I'm working with where they need an accountability partner. They're trying to finish up a certificate and a certification, and they just send me that green check mark every day for 10 days until they get that complete. And there's days when I don't get the check mark and they're like, I had all these meetings that I had to attend. So anyway, in a nutshell, that's a big part of what I do with my clients.
Okay, no, I like that. I think that it's intentional and it's honest and it's open, and I like that. So let's coach me. If I'm sitting down with you and my goal is I have a technology company, right? And technology can be very dry, but I want things to be more fun and curious. And I want to have that be why I'm leading, like why I'm creating moments with my clients and with my community. What would that mean if I were sitting down with you? Like, what would you tell me? What's the next steps?
Okay, got it. So if we're going to move into a coaching session, I have a few things that I'm wondering if it would be okay to do. So I would have everybody go off camera and or we can stay on. So either way. But Adam and I would be on the screen together. I would coach him for 15 minutes. You all would observe. And as you're observing, you could have a piece of paper and be writing things down that come to you, that because you will get something out of this. A thought will come to you, and you may be able to even just jot down some things that are on your heart to move forward with.
Awesome.
All right, thank you so much. So Adam, before we get started, I just want to, set the tone a little bit here, and some ground rules, if you will. So generally, if I'm going to be working with a client, there's like a discovery session that comes forth, right? You give me some ideas about why would you hire me as a coach.
Okay.
And so I just want to let you know that we all have a leader within, right? So I might talk about what would your leader within say, the wisest part of you, the sage part of you. And then we all have the saboteur within, right? So you may have those mind tricks, I think is what you refer to them as, is like, the one that wants to come in and destroy, right? And then, you have permission to, you don't have to answer my questions. There's, so we'll just let things flow, and you have permission to say yes or no. And so let this be about you, not about me. So I'd like to hear, what is your topic today? If there was something that you had on your heart, you mentioned that, you want to be able to have fun in your organization and help your clients with that. But what is your topic today?
Yeah, I think making sure that the work gets done, like the tasks take place, but that we're not giving in to the mundane, right? I want to keep it fun and curious while still maintaining that rhythm of getting things done and checking those boxes and moving forward with what we need to get done.
So you want to make sure that tasks are being done, and you're staying fun and curious, and that you're checking the boxes. Is that what you said?
That's what I said. Yeah.
Okay. And so what would you want to get out of this coaching session today?
I think I'd want to understand how I, as a leader, can create that environment of trust and fun and curiosity without being a micromanager, right? With maintaining, like I said, the cadence of getting things done, but without having to go through and say, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? And if they did, how can we celebrate that? How can we be curious and fun as the business continues forward, right?
Mm-hmm. So what you want out of this coaching session, if we were to bottom line that, it sounds like you really don't want to be a micromanager.
Yeah. Very true.
Okay. So what about that is important to you?
For me, I've lived the corporate life. I've lived the startup life. I've met so many entrepreneurs out there, and I love the spark that most of the people I come across have, right? And their reasons for doing what they do. And I think that teams need to embrace the same thing. I think it would be fulfilling if teams can do the same thing. And I think that I want to convey that to my team. How can they feel empowered to do what they want to do, right? How can they take the next steps and have ownership over those tasks and feel excited and curious and fun in completing that?
What would that look like for you if you were to create that kind of environment?
I think for me, it would just be almost like letting go, right? If you create the environment where people are excited and fun and curious, they can lead with contribution, they can get their tasks done, they can explore and celebrate together. And then it allows people space to have a more creative approach or a different approach, a different perspective. I think that's one of the things that's missing fundamentally in the corporate world is the ability for people to come and approach problems with a new perspective. Because if we're always looking at micromanaging them or giving them the task and following through on the task, well, then it's like, what's the letter of the law? That's people second guess themselves. And so I want to create that availability to create opportunity, right? If people can solve problems in a different meaning or a different way, we can all learn from each other. And that means we're being curious, we're having fun, and we're still checking the boxes. We're still getting things done. And when we celebrate the successes, I feel like those transition into more successes and more excitement and more energy. And that's kind of the environment that I would love to be able to create.
So you want to create this environment where everybody brings forth their authentic ideas, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think authentic's a good word for it.
And so what is that for you when you, what does that look like for you when you are bringing forth authenticity yourself?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know how to answer that, Susan. Like, I'll be totally honest with you. I think authenticity is defined so differently by so many people, but for me, I just want to, I don't know. I want people to have joy in what they're doing, joy in the moment. And that's, if it brings you joy, then that's a great story.
So hear this, you just had this lovely laughing and you're like, whoa, what is that for me? Right.
Yeah.
And then to define it with joy. So when you feel that joy for yourself, what's there in that moment for you when you're in this space where there's joy? How would you describe that?
Well, the easiest thing for me is freedom, right? I think when I experience joy, and I hope that this is the same for the people that are on my team, when they're experiencing joy, you're free to not just be present in the moment and own what you've just completed, but allow yourself space to just continue forward. I mean, really, if the freedom to think about whatever you want and be in the moment and be excited about either you personally, you as part of the team, you as part of the journey and the mission that everybody's part of. It doesn't matter. I mean, as long as you're experiencing that joy, I feel like it feeds up, and again, it's infectious. So that's what I feel. That's what I hope for others.
Yeah, I see that it's really important for you to create that environment where others are feeling included and willing to express to you what it is that's important to them within that environment. So you are feeling that joy yourself when you feel that freedom to express and be with whatever it is that you don't have any, there's no judgment here. You're bringing forth the things that it sounds like that are on your heart.
Yeah, I like the words no judgment too. That's perfect.
So what's there for you when you say you like that there's no judgment? What comes to you?
I think that's the question I have, is how do I convey that it's okay to approach things uniquely and have fun with it while still taking on the task, because it's a delicate balance, right? How do you take on the workload of the day when it's not necessarily your workload, right? It's been given to you, or it's part of the job, it's part of the definition. How do you balance not feeling judged on your approach to it and having joy? I mean, I think that's a difficulty for so many people, especially leaders and people inside of companies, inside of even interactions, right? When we meet people.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the question I have.
Yeah. So how do you, Adam, how do you go about your business and dismiss the idea that maybe you are being judged?
That's a good question. You know, self-belief, probably. I spent a lot of time in the trenches, and at the end of the day, I know that I have my own reasons for doing things, my own why, my own, like I've got my kids and my family and my life that I really love and enjoy, and I want to balance that. And it's, for me, I want to get things done without it impeding my life with them, right? Without it overflowing into their lives. If it was a hard day or a great day, or, you know, a mundane day, if I can get those tasks completed and I do it well without judgment, then it frees me up to be available and be myself in all the other situations. And I think that leads to more creativity. So that's kind of how I guess I approach it.
And so it leads you to be yourself, and in just one situation or in all situations?
I would hope all. I would hope all. Sometimes, you know, we put up the blockers, we put up the guard because we just get shocked by situations or we get thrown into something that was unexpected. But I think to avoid that feeling of judgment allows me to be more authentic to myself in all situations. Like I said.
Yeah. In all circumstances, you are fully engaged with your authenticity, regardless of the things that are going on around you. You like to believe that you are fully engaged with you being authentically Adam. Like, this is me, this is it.
Yeah. And that's what I want to create for the people that I work with and the people I interact with. The ability to feel like they're their own individual. They're approaching things in a fun and exciting and curious way, but still giving them the space and freedom to live life, right? Don't let things overflow or impede or affect the way that we want to live, affect the way we want to be around those that we care about, those that we, you know, in balance that between have to, need to, and want to, right? Those we have to be around, those we need to be around, and those we want to be around.
So those we want to be around, need to be around, and don't want to be around.
Yeah, I didn't mention that, but good point.
So what's here when we bring up the people that you don't want to be around?
You know, I'd like to say I don't want to be around negative or pessimistic individuals, but at the same time, we all have off days. So I think it would be avoiding the consistent drawdown, right? People that, or situations that draw you down, draw your energy away, drain you. If it's consistent, those are the ones I want to escape from. Otherwise, I don't mind being around those people because they need me, you know, and
they need you. So what's that like for you when you're feeling down and you're feeling negative and you're just feeling like everything's yuck today? What's that like for you?
those are rough days. Those are hard days to do what I need to get done without feeling like it's an obligation or, again, interfering with what I need. And we were talking earlier before the call, like there are people in my life that are like the glue because they are the reason why I'm able to get out of those ruts. And they don't do anything real specific. It's just being there. It's being energized and fun and reminding me of the journey. So I think that's a good question.
And so what do you need in those moments when you're feeling like everything just feels yucky? Like, I mean, where do you go with that?
Most of the time I need a reset. Like I want to
And
pause.
how are you going to get that reset?
Oh, that's a good question, because there are some days that I cannot remove myself from the tasks. But I don't know. I have a space that I go to each week where I just kind of think through things that's designed for that. But getting it in the moment, I think, is sometimes I'll just shoot out a quick text, or have a quick phone call, somebody that really just creates that, that inflection point that's allowing me to breathe a little bit and remember life does still exist. It's people are real, and it's cool to be a person and be okay with having those down moments, but knowing that somebody's there to pick me back up. So I think that's what I normally do, is I'll just shoot a quick text or call somebody.
So with regard to, not wanting to be a micromanager, and, I think about the people that would be, in your organization and maybe having one of those rough days. They're negative. They're showing up negative all the time. What do you suppose might be there for them?
I suppose as a leader, it'd probably be good to be more available to them as that pick me up, or even give them the awareness that they can go and find a pick me up, take that pause, reach out to somebody that they respect. I haven't really shared that with others. I guess that's interesting. So yeah, people are people. I should do that.
So for the sake of ending this 15-minute session, do you have a pen and paper?
That I do.
Okay. Or even an electronic note to yourself. So I'd love to leave you with a challenge.
Sure.
Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
So my challenge to you is that the next time you come upon someone that is seeming off or negative, that you would approach them with that same empathy and compassion that you've just described, to ask them, how are they doing? What's going on? I'm noticing that there's something a little off with you today. It's an opportunity to build trust and let them know that you do recognize that they're in circumstances in their life as well, and that that they need to come to work and they've got tasks to be done, but yeah, you're there for them, right?
This was a good session. I think the way that you were able to have me create my own dialogue and circumvent my own situation was amazing. And to everybody that's on the call, we can turn our screens back on. Thank you for allowing us the space to have this coaching session.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in and just say, first of all, thank you for being vulnerable, because that's really hard. I mean, it's hard to do it even in a one-to-one session, let alone other people listening into, what you're talking about. But one of the things that I've really loved about knowing you is how authentic you are. And I just, as you were talking, I was thinking about you as a leader, and just would love to sometime meet people that work with you and just hear what they say about you, because I've got to believe that they love working with you, and just that you show who you really are every day. You come to work not with some kind of facade, but you're just very genuine person, and I so appreciate that about you. And you also kind of wanting to be there for people. I really related to your comment about not wanting to be around negative and pessimistic people. I personally find that, and I've tried to do that in my personal life as well. It's hard sometimes, especially work related, where you sometimes, especially when you work with companies or in companies, you can't avoid having negative people that you work with, but I think you can help to sometimes change the narrative when people are going down that path. But I really appreciated that, because I think, we all have our struggles, and definitely don't want to be surrounded by negativity, because that can certainly pull you down. So, and then the other thing that I noted was, I love that you have people in your life that, because we all have bad days, that you have people that you can talk to and, help to get out of what I call the hole, when you go down that hole and you're like, and sometimes the hole is big, longer than just like a day. But it's great that you have really good people in your life to surround you.
Yeah, that's lovely.
I blame my wife for that. She taught me that.
Yay.
Yeah.
Wonderful that you have such a great partner.
Yes. Beautiful. Nice work today, Adam.
That was a lot of fun. It was definitely a different approach, and I did not know what to expect. And I really appreciate you, Susan, for doing that. First of all, I mean, being in the hot seats, never easy, and showing off your trade and your skill is something that, you know, oftentimes we guard ourselves on. So I applaud you for doing that here actively while we were going through this coaching session. And I know it was only 15 minutes, but honestly, that was cool. The force is with you, Susan. The force is with you.
Good, good. Yeah, it's interesting. That was the first time for me to ever coach like this in a setting like this. And frankly, I was a little bit nervous about it because, you know, that I was telling Adam earlier on the call when I went to coach training, you know, they call it sacred space where, like Rachel, you were talking about, like, you know, it's a vulnerable place for someone to answer that question. Like, you know, you came up with, Adam, too, and we can all learn from this, is that when someone's being negative, they obviously have something going on that is just off, you know, and they might just need that someone to just reach out to them and say, hey, is everything okay? And I mean, they might have a big, huge thing that's going on, right? And we all do. As we develop, we're learning from childhood into adulthood how to be adults, like make decisions for ourselves, right? Like, oh, I'm in charge. Like they don't need to be telling me who I am. I know what I am about, right? So there can be this defensive stuff going on, especially as young adults. And having the you know, someone like you, Adam, that's leading, and I'm picking on you right now, Adam, because I just coached you, but for you to notice, I noticed how you came about with this, gosh, if I just brought empathy and compassion forth with these people that I'm noticing seem negative all the time, maybe they don't feel like they have the autonomy or the authority to speak out because they are afraid of being judged, or gosh, you know, they have this idea stirring around, but they're just not confident to bring it forth, right? So maybe that one-on-one session would be a place where they felt more comfortable to say something like, you know, in our meeting, I thought this would be a good idea, but I didn't want to say it to the whole group because I was afraid of being judged. So there's going to be a whole lot of that going on, right?
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say, especially in business settings, is that sometimes it depends on if you're a manager of a person or a group, and there's really somebody in the group that's super negative, pulling down the overall feeling of the team and the group, you know, certainly that needs to be addressed, right? But then the other thing that I've felt in the business world is that it's not your job to fix people. Sometimes, like if somebody's a coworker, or you know, you're working maybe on a project with them for a short period of time, you know, certainly being assertive and talking to the person definitely helps out, and trying to understand where they're coming from. But then there are just people in life that are just really negative people, and I have had to work with some people like that, and I've tried to make the best out of it. And then realize that, you know, it's not my job to fix them. They have something else that's going on that may have nothing to do with the work that you're doing. And so there's that line in life where you just have to decide, like, what is my role in this? And Adam, you lead a company, so that's even more challenging. The other thing I've had to do sometimes as a manager in the past, I've had to make decisions about whether or not people should continue to work for me or for the company. And that's always a really hard one, especially running your own business, Adam. I don't know if you've ever had to do anything like that, but that's a hard decision to make. But again, if somebody is being incredibly disruptive, incredibly negative, and you've tried to, you know, coach them the best you can into turning around their attitudes, and it's just not working, or there are other circumstances that are affecting the work that needs to be done, then sometimes you have to make that tough choice about the people, because if they're impacting everybody else around them in a negative way, then. So I just really appreciated everything you said, Adam, about, just leadership in general and the things that you have to think about every day in running a business.
Yeah, it's true, Rachel. And I love what you said, because sometimes people are in positions that their heart's really not in the place. They're not really, this isn't really where they want to be. They want to be working with animals, or, or working on airplane parts, or right. It's like, and by the way, hello, Jonathan. It's nice to be with you here for the first time. So anyway, yeah, I love what you said, Rachel. It's true. There's sometimes people are in organization that really need to go and do the things that are really more about what they're about. So
yeah, no, I agree with all of those comments. And I think that one of our tasks as a leader is to create a safe space. And it might be balancing the day that they're off and giving them the energy that they need, or finding out that maybe they don't belong in the environment to begin with, like you said, Susan, because a safe space means a safe space for everybody. And that's the only way we're ever going to find the ability to have fun and be curious and grow as organizations and leaders and entrepreneurs and community members. And there's so many ways that what you just did for us today, by the way, can be taken in and utilized. I mean, obviously we're adults, we can solve our own problems, but sometimes we need that sounding board. We need that new approach, that different perspective to help us understand a different way that we can really approach it, right? Is it really a problem, or have we already solved it? And if we have, what's holding us back? Is it the judgment? Is it the fear? And I think your coaching session today was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
okay.
I think also just from a business coaching standpoint, it's really, a lot of CEOs of companies, whether they're, small companies or big companies, really need a sounding board, somebody that's neutral to talk to, right? That's not working for the company and has that same, skin in the game. So a lot of people seek out just talking to other people that again, a sounding board. And I think that's a really positive thing for anybody, that any leader, right? Whether you're running a company or not, just being able to, or just, the other thing I like is networking groups of people again. And Adam, you're certainly part of that, where you can have a group of people that maybe you don't necessarily even do business with, but they are business people as well. And so just being able to have the conversation with others to talk about like what's going on, and how have they potentially, have they had the same issue, and how have they potentially dealt with it.
I think this was a lot of fun. And Susan, thank you for humoring us today and being live and doing this demonstration. And honestly, it was interesting for me to be led the way that this conversation unfolded. And I took notes, even though I didn't have my screens off. So thank you to everybody who was on the call too, that had their screens off and were taking notes and kind of feeling this out for themselves too. I think it's important and valuable. And, for the people that are listening to this later, hopefully they do the same thing. But Susan, one of the things we like to do is obviously have interaction, right? We want to have conversation and commitment. And as you've seen, Rachel's offered a lot of comments and kudos to what happened here today. And we like to open it up at the end of the call. We're at the last few minutes of our hour. So I'd love to kind of open it up to the other members that are here and just hear some feedback, comments, kudos, anything that's on your mind. Lead with your heart, and then we can close it out.
I just wanted to say, I really liked the thing that you said about, having your own support system, but also being that support for another that's bringing negativity in, because, they may just have something going on and that's why they're being negative. And if you just offer that support, then you could solve the situation,
Empathy and compassion goes a long ways for helping them find out something that they didn't even know for themselves.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with everything, Rachel was saying earlier. Thank you, both of you, especially Adam. I know it was probably like uncomfortable being like so vulnerable, but that's when progress is made. So, thank you for your time and I really enjoyed hearing what you had to say.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Tina and Alina, for those comments. And Jonathan, thanks for coming in late and letting me tell you to turn your screen off.
Of course. Oh my gosh. I apologize for the disruption, but I was very happy to be here and get to tune in. Once again, every week, we always nail it. So thank you so much, Susan, for being with us today. And Adam, as always, for pulling this together and for helping us to learn something. It's always so great.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you manage to pull anything out of that, Jonathan?
More than anything, and this is sort of like it's always just like a general takeaway I have from this is, first of all, it's like, this is the time of my week where I sort of have like a reset with humanity. And I just kind of have a moment where I'm like, okay, there are people out there that I don't know and really wouldn't have met in any other capacity outside of this. And we're all kind of shooting for the same North Star in very different ways, but we're all getting there. And it might sound a little surface for this discussion, but this just goes back to community. There's so much I'm able to take away from this discussion about how important it is, obviously to have people around you to support yourself, but how necessary it is to listen to your own intuition, right? And to listen to what you want to do and lean into that. And I loved the portion where you were talking about how, there are people who they want to do one thing and they're doing something else. And it really is it's so hard to navigate that and to get from point A to point B. And it's so important to have someone who he's not my coach, but he's my father. And he serves a very similar purpose. And it wasn't a business question, but I had something I was dealing with that I had every, opportunity to do by myself, but I needed someone who just knows better than I do. And who has experience dealing with certain, whatever the situation was. And in this instance, it was him. And I can't tell you how many times, as someone who does not run their own business, how many times in the past year alone, 2022 alone, I have really felt like I need guidance. I need someone to help me keep both my feet on the ground. And, it's one of my long answer made long. One of my best takeaways from this is that there just are resources out there. There is no, as soon as you think you've hit a wall, there is a door. You just have to find it. You need to ask for help and you need to build that community. And I'm very grateful for all that you do and for the people that you've helped. And again, anyone watching this, take that leap if you need to. If you need help, don't be afraid to ask for help. It's a bad thing to work yourself into the ground when help is available to you and you're choosing not to take it or you're choosing not to go for it. So I hope that anyone watching this who's on sort of the cusp of that feels that, that push to go to take that leap because it's worth it. It's value.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I was just going to jump in, our group that we have there's so many wonderful people in the group. And, I would actually like to see from our group people putting up more challenges that they faced and, really how have they dealt with that? It requires some vulnerability, but everybody can relate to that. Nobody has a perfect, life, especially when you're in business for yourself and you just have days where you need that extra boost from others. So thanks, Susan, for being here. Really great to meet you in person since we've seen you so much online. We really appreciate all of your participation. And Adam, as always, you're such a brilliant leader, moderator. We just so much love you and appreciate you.
Yes, I agree. He is.
Today was a lot of fun. And Jonathan, I aligned with what you said earlier. I mentioned reset, right? Taking that pause. These meetups are very much like that reset for me. And Rachel, to echo you, we do have an amazing community. And Susan, you've been a great contributor. You've been very, very authentic in the way that you respond and comment and support people in the community. And I love that. And I'm so glad that we had you on today to share your voice and demonstrate the skills that you bring to the table and really just allowing people permission to be human. And you started the conversation with that, permission. I think that that's a word that sometimes gets a negative connotation, but we really need to look at ourselves and give ourselves permission. So thank you so much for everybody that's been on today. Susan, before we let you go, I want to make sure that we point people in the community to you. How can they connect with you? Where is the best place they can go? Is it Animate Life Coaching? Is there a website? How can we connect with you?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks again for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to be with all of you and this was my first time. So being in the Small Daddy group. So I loved it. And Jonathan, thanks for your comments. I love that you talked about, how important it is to ask for help and not feel like it's a bad thing, but it's actually a really good thing. Give yourself permission, like Adam says. And then the other piece to that is give yourself empathy and compassion.
Yeah, it's
So-
investing in yourself, right? Like
Yep.
it's one thing to say, I want help in the sense that I want you to do this thing for me. And it's another thing to say, I want help because I need to learn this thing, or I need to be better at this thing as I move forward in my business. And it's you're investing in you invest in your business. Why not invest in yourself? Those things go hand in hand. And that's how I view it. And I think it's critical that people see it that way as well, because that's what it is.
Yep, very good. It's nice that you know that. And I love that you shared that. So if anyone would like to get in contact with me, my LinkedIn page does show my website, which is animatelifecoaching.com. And I always have a complimentary session to just get acquainted and see if there's any ideas that come about that I may be able to help you out with. And we can always create a package unique just for you. All right.
Beautiful.
May the
Thank
fourth
you
be
so
with
much.
you.
May the fourth be with you. Everybody have a great week
Take
and
care.
enjoy.
See ya.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.